Imagine a life where you are not just reacting to circumstances, but shaping them. A life where you hold the steering wheel of your own destiny. That is the essence of being proactive. Being proactive is not about waiting for things to happen. It is about making things happen. It is the power to choose your response, regardless of the situation. Many people live in what I call the reactive mode. They blame circumstances, other people, or luck for the way their lives unfold. When something goes wrong, they say, "It's not my fault," or "I can't do anything about it." But the truth is, the only thing we can truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, our choices, and our actions. The moment we accept this, we step into our power. Being proactive starts with understanding the space between stimulus and response. Every day, life presents us with stimulated challenges at work, conflicts with loved ones, unexpected events. Between the stimulus and your response lies a choice that defines who you are. Reactive people act based on emotion, habit, or impulse. Proactive people pause, reflect, and act in alignment with their values and goals. So, how do we cultivate proactivity? First, take responsibility. Stop pointing fingers. Stop blaming. Realize that your life is a result of your choices, not your circumstances. When you accept this, you reclaim your freedom. Freedom to act, freedom to decide. Second, focus on your circle of influence. Many people spend their energy worrying about things they cannot control. Politics, the economy, other people's behavior. Proactive individuals direct their energy toward what they can influence: their actions, their attitudes, their skills. This focus not only increases effectiveness, but it transforms despair into empowerment. Third, act in alignment with your principles. Proactivity is not just action. It is intentional action guided by values. When faced with difficult choices, ask yourself, which action aligns with who I want to be? The answers are found not in convenience or impulse, but in integrity and purpose. Finally, remember that proactivity is a habit. It is not a single heroic act. It is a consistent way of living. It is saying, "I choose," in every moment, even in the small decisions: how you speak, how you respond, how you plan your day. Each small choice builds the foundation of a life fully under your control. Ladies and gentlemen, being proactive is not easy. It requires courage, self-awareness, and persistence. But the rewards are profound. When you choose proactivity, you are no longer a passenger in life. You are the driver. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems, and growth instead of setbacks. So today, I invite you to step into your power. Start small, start now, and remember your life is the result of your choices. Choose to be proactive, and you will shape a life of purpose, freedom, and true effectiveness. Taking responsibility for your choices and focusing on what you can control is the foundation of a proactive life. Most people live in a reactive state, constantly reacting to circumstances, other people's actions, or external events. They allow their moods, fears, or pressures to dictate their behavior, believing that they are victims of circumstances. This mindset creates a life dominated by blame, frustration, and helplessness. Reactive individuals often say, "I have no choice," or "It's not my fault," assuming that their environment controls them rather than the other way around. However, the truth is that the only thing we truly control in life is ourselves, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions. By acknowledging this, we reclaim our personal power and open the door to meaningful change. Accepting responsibility is not about self-blame or guilt. It is about understanding that every decision we make contributes to the reality we experience. Even when situations seem entirely out of our control, how we respond to them is always within our influence. When faced with challenges, setbacks, or conflicts, it is easy to point fingers at others or external conditions. Yet, doing so only drains energy and keeps us trapped in a cycle of inaction. Proactive individuals shift their focus inward, asking themselves, "What can I do in this situation?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" This subtle shift in mindset transforms challenges into opportunities for growth and action. Focusing on what you can control means directing your energy toward areas where you have influence, rather than wasting time and effort on things beyond your reach. It requires a conscious awareness of your own thoughts, behaviors, and decisions, recognizing that your response determines the outcomes in your life. For example, you cannot control how others behave, the economy, or the circumstances you face, but you can control your preparation, your attitude, and your choices. By investing your energy in what is within your control, you become more effective, resilient, and empowered. Responsibility also includes acknowledging past mistakes and learning from them without dwelling on regret. Every choice we make, whether good or bad, carries a lesson. Proactive people reflect on their experiences, extract insights, and use them to make better decisions moving forward. This process of self-accountability strengthens character and builds confidence in one's ability to navigate life intentionally. Taking responsibility is not passive. It requires courage to face difficult truths about oneself and the discipline to act consistently in alignment with one's principles. It demands that we examine our habits, attitudes, and mental frameworks to ensure they serve our long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. By focusing on what we can control, we create a mental and emotional space where solutions can emerge. It shifts us from a position of victimhood to a position of empowerment, where we recognize that even small, deliberate actions can have a significant impact. Over time, consistently taking responsibility for our choices cultivates a sense of ownership over our lives, increasing self-confidence and reducing dependence on external validation or circumstances. This approach not only improves personal effectiveness, but also inspires those around us to act with greater accountability and integrity, creating a ripple effect of proactive behavior in our relationships, workplaces, and communities. Acting intentionally in alignment with your values and principles is a cornerstone of a proactive life. Many people drift through life, making decisions based on impulses, pressures, or the expectations of others, rather than on a clear understanding of who they are and what they stand for. This lack of intentionality often leads to regret, dissatisfaction, and a sense of aimlessness. To act intentionally means to pause before responding, to consider the deeper implications of one's choices, and to ensure that every action reflects the person you want to become. It requires clarity about your principles. The fundamental truths and moral standards that guide your decisions, define your character, and shape your interactions with the world. Without this clarity, it is easy to be swayed by circumstances, emotions, or external influences, resulting in reactive behavior and inconsistency in your life. Principles act as an internal compass, providing direction when external conditions are uncertain or challenging. Acting in alignment with these principles strengthens integrity, builds trust with others, and fosters a sense of inner peace because your actions are consistent with your beliefs. When faced with a difficult decision, intentionally reflecting on your values allows you to choose the course of action that aligns with who you truly want to be, rather than simply responding to immediate desires or pressures. For instance, in professional settings, acting intentionally might mean making ethical choices, even when shortcuts or easy gains are tempting. In personal relationships, it could mean responding with patience, understanding, and empathy, even in moments of frustration or disagreement. This intentionality requires self-awareness and mindfulness. It demands that you examine your motives, evaluate the consequences of your actions, and ensure that you are acting out of principle rather than impulse. Proactive individuals understand that every action has a ripple effect, influencing not only their own lives but also the lives of those around them. By consciously choosing actions that reflect their values, they create consistency, reliability, and authenticity in their relationships, work, and personal growth. Acting intentionally also involves prioritization and focus. Life is filled with distractions, competing demands, and constant stimuli that can pull you away from what truly matters. When your actions are guided by principles, you are better able to allocate your time, energy, and resources toward goals and activities that support your long-term vision. This alignment increases effectiveness and reduces stress because your efforts are concentrated on what is meaningful and purposeful. Additionally, intentional action nurtures resilience. When challenges arise, a strong foundation of principles provides a stable reference point, allowing you to navigate adversity without compromising your values. It encourages thoughtful responses rather than knee-jerk reactions, enabling you to act with confidence and clarity even in uncertainty. By consistently acting in alignment with your principles, you cultivate discipline, strengthen character, and build a reputation of reliability and integrity. Over time, this approach becomes a habit, shaping your behavior, influencing your environment, and inspiring others to act with similar intentionality, creating a life that is coherent, purposeful, and deeply fulfilling. Building proactivity as a consistent habit in everyday life is the key to transforming intentions into results. Many people understand the importance of being proactive in theory, yet they struggle to implement it consistently. Proactivity is not a one-time effort or a sudden burst of motivation. It is a lifestyle, a series of deliberate choices repeated over time until they become second nature. Habits shape who we are and determine the trajectory of our lives. and cultivating the habit of proactivity ensures that we are actively shaping our circumstances rather than passively reacting to them. Developing this habit begins with awareness, recognizing moments when you tend to react impulsively, blame external factors, or surrender control to circumstances. Awareness allows you to intercept these reactive patterns and consciously choose a different response, one that is intentional and aligned with your long-term goals. It requires observing your own behavior, reflecting on past decisions, and identifying recurring triggers that provoke reactive responses. Once you are aware, the next step is consistent practice. Habits are formed through repetition, and proactivity is no different. Small, deliberate actions, repeated consistently, build the neural pathways that reinforce proactive behavior. For example, making a habit of planning your day each morning, prioritizing important tasks, and anticipating challenges cultivates a proactive mindset. Similarly, responding to conflicts calmly and thoughtfully, rather than reacting with emotion or impulse, strengthens the habit of choosing your responses rather than being controlled by them. Another critical element is self-discipline. Habits are not formed overnight, and the initial effort to act proactively may feel unnatural or uncomfortable. Proactive individuals recognize that discipline is temporary, while the benefits of consistent proactive behavior are long-lasting. By committing to the process, even when it feels challenging, you embed proactivity into your daily life. Environment also plays a significant role in habit formation. Surrounding yourself with people who model proactive behavior, engaging in routines that support intentional action, and minimizing distractions that trigger reactive responses all reinforce the habit. It is important to create systems and structures that make proactive behavior easier and more automatic, so that over time, it becomes the default way you operate. Reflection is another vital component. Regularly reviewing your actions, outcomes, and choices allows you to refine your approach, recognize areas of improvement, and celebrate progress. This feedback loop strengthens the habit by providing evidence that proactive behavior produces tangible results, reinforcing motivation and commitment. Furthermore, building proactivity as a habit nurtures resilience. When faced with unexpected challenges or setbacks, proactive individuals respond with resourcefulness and adaptability, rather than panic or despair. Over time, the habit of proactive thinking becomes ingrained, influencing not only major decisions but also the small, everyday choices that cumulatively shape your life. By consciously integrating proactivity into routines, responses, and mindsets, you transform it from a deliberate effort into an automatic pattern of behavior, one that consistently drives growth, effectiveness, and personal empowerment. In embracing proactivity, taking responsibility, acting intentionally, and building these behaviors as consistent habits, we step into the true power of choice. Life will always present challenges, uncertainties, and circumstances beyond our control, but how we respond defines the trajectory of our journey. By focusing on what we can influence, aligning our actions with our deepest values, and making proactive behavior a daily practice, we move from being passive observers to active creators of our destiny. Each small decision, each intentional response, compounds over time, shaping a life of purpose, effectiveness, and fulfillment. Proactivity is not a single act, but a lifelong commitment to living deliberately, to rising above reactivity, and to embracing the freedom that comes from owning our choices. Thank you so much for your love.